It is Friday, which means it's time to take a look at the big brand stories of the week with Tony Chapman, host of the Chatter That Matters podcast. Tony, it's so good to have you in the studio with us now.
I love being here.
Yeah,
Thanks
we love having you.
There's always so much to talk about, too. But one of the big stories this week, Weight Watchers, they're no longer in business. And a lot of this has to do with the changes that we're seeing on the market, the different options.
Well, they're blaming it on debt because it wasn't private investor, put on a lot of debt on the place. So they filed Chapter 11. They're still in business, but they're trying to restructure their balance sheet.
Yeah.
But here's what they're not talking about, Ozempic. When that drug arrived, their subscriptions fell in half. Their revenue went from about $1.5 billion to $800 million. So you're carrying a lot of debt, a lot less revenue, you're in trouble. And so the reality is they've tried to compete by the telehealth. I could prescribe drugs. I could do everything I can. But the reality is, for a lot of people, the mother's little helper. Show me the pill. I want to lose weight versus go through all the pain and points and everything else that comes with Weight Watcher. And that's what they're facing. They're facing immediacy, gratification versus hard work. And more often than not, gratification, instant gratification always wins the day.
Yeah.
Easier, I guess.
I know. It's unfortunate because, I know a lot of people, I even joined Weight Watchers at one point when I
feel
was
like so many people
Yeah,
did,
when I was struggling with overeating issues. And, it really is quite a system. It almost kind of has an AA model because you've got to be accountable and you got to check in and there are meetings. So
I would be repositioning it. Focus on longevity, your brain health, cognitive health. What food should I be eating as functional food to make me live longer, add years to my life to my years? If they refocus it versus Weight Watcher, which is, I can get that in a pill, I think they stand a chance. But that's going to take a recalibration of their messaging, and that's hard for a business to spend 80 years constantly just saying, step on a scale, oh my God, I need a diet, we're here to help. Very different business. But I think that if they focus on longevity, we all want to live healthier.
I was saying, though, off camera, I feel like they've done a lot of that, though, over the years, right? They've tried to change their model a little bit. A lot of celebrities were a very big part of it as well.
Oprah was very big. But, again, you're yo-yoing and always around this sense of Weight Watcher. And all of a sudden, this thing shows up and says, I'm a pill. And you're going to lose, instead of losing 5 to 10% Weight Watcher, I guarantee you 18%. That's a big difference, material difference. So that's the thing they're struggling with. So you got to reframe your offering from just simply watching your weight to living healthier. I think if they did that, that's not a pill that can do that. That's exercise, it's functional food, it's knowledge, thought leadership, it's the system that they talk about. I think they stand a chance for a comeback.
Or even psychology, right? Behavior stuff. Okay, speaking of watching, not our weight, but hockey games, because we've got two going on tonight. We've got Toronto Maple Leafs playing in Florida, but also the Toronto Scepters PWHL game happening at the same time. So we've got these simultaneous games. And we know that Coca-Cola Coliseum did not sell out, the night that the Leafs played the Panthers. But what needs to happen here to kind of, put women's sports, these professional women's leagues that we're seeing, whether it's basketball, soccer, because basketball's coming up, or hockey in the limelight? Do they need to pick the timing of these games better?
It's a fantastic question. I think the thing when they came out, we're all excited because emotionally we know it's time. We're ready for women's sports. But two things you got to realize. Time is finite. So I've only got so much time, and there's so much competition. And more importantly, my discretionary income is declining. So they have to figure out what is their value proposition. So one thing is I support women's sports. Well, okay, how long is that going to take you, especially when something like the Leafs are playing? What is value? Value is the price, but value is also I get affordable tickets. I can go to a professional game, but the concessions are still expensive. The parking's still expensive. The second thing is what value they bring into sponsors. What value they bring in media, so you talk about them. I love the fact that the top team gets to pick what opponent. That's clever. That suddenly media has something to talk about. So they got to really think about owning the head, heart, and hands of the sports fan, how they think, how they feel, and how they act. And I tell you something, you can only go so long riding on the fact that women versus men. You have to find your value proposition. There's smart people there. I'm sure they will. But I tell you, when the Leafs are playing, when the Leafs catch a cold, the whole Toronto gets pneumonia. But the Leafs wins, all of a sudden we forget about our problems. So that's a tough one tonight. But overall, women's sports, great. Emotionally, I'm ready. now make it easy for me to buy and easy for me to support your team. And I think that's the next step in building that entire franchise.
Yeah, I mean, with the WNBA, they're working so hard right now to market that team because it won't be long before we have our Toronto.
Then you come out, well, she's only getting paid this and he's getting paid that, and just stop comparing to male sports.
Yeah.
Talk about the product, how exciting it is. Think about all the mothers and daughters and fathers and siblings that have supported and saying this is our time to shine. And I think when you do that and you really recalibrate the offering, think of the underdog mentality of we try harder, and I think that's what people are going to celebrate, because you know what? We're all feeling that. We all feel a bit like an underdog, so tap into that emotional core.
Yeah, lots to celebrate.
Absolutely, for sure. Okay, Tony Chapman, host of the Chatter That Matters podcast. Tony, thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend,
You
and
too.
we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Tony.